Well, hello there. Today I'm talking to Allissa Haines, and I'm super excited because we've been kind of online massage industry buddies for the last 5 years or so, and I'm pretty sure we met on Twitter, right?
I think we did.
I think so. I think that was when I tried to figure it all out, and I learned a lot about marketing from Allissa, and that's pretty much what you do, right? You're the massage therapy marketing guru.
Yeah, well, I'd hesitate to say guru, but I'm trying. So yeah, I have a little private practice massage business in Massachusetts, south of Boston, and that's within a bigger collaborative wellness center that I run. But yeah, my big thing and my super fun thing is running Massage Business Blueprint, which is an online learning center that I own with my friend Michael Reynolds, and we teach business and marketing techniques. And all the stuff you wish you had learned if you had had more time to take business classes as part of massage school. And that's what I do, massagebusinessblueprint.com. That's my thing. That's my big thing. And yeah, so we've been at that for about 2 years now. I've been a practicing therapist for 12 years now. And that's my short version bio.
Good. Well, that's a good subject right away, because when I teach massage therapists and they often ask business questions, and they ask me about how I'm doing things, because I also run a bigger practice and I have 5 contracted therapists there. And I'm able to charge quite a lot for the sessions I give myself. So people are often asking questions, and they often say that they learned so little about business in massage school. But I think it's really hard, because what are the schools supposed to do? Because when you're just starting out, you don't even know what you don't know, right?
That's, and I used to give schools a lot of crap for a long time about not providing enough business education. And I've kind of come to realize that, one, most schools are just doing the best they can, and they're doing good work, and you're not really ready. Like, you need the basics. And the school I went to gave us some great basics. They had an accountant come in. They had, I don't know if it was an attorney, but they had a couple of business owners come in, and you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you need to know until you're probably out of school for 6 months or a year, and you've really made the decisions about what you're going to do in your massage career, if you're going to have a massage career, or if you're just going to treat it being able to do massage just for fun, which is awesome
right.
too. But yeah, I don't think you're ready for it. Just like, there's a lot for me, a lot of anatomy stuff that I learned, I was tested on, I'm proficient in, but it didn't mean anything to me until I got my hands on a lot of bodies, until I felt that stuff, and until I really, I knew what the SEM was, and I knew how to do a little work to it, but it didn't make sense or matter to me until I had multiple clients with migraine and TMJD. So there's a lot that you're just not ready for. But there was and still is a void of real accessible information for massage therapists to teach business and marketing. And what is out there, a lot of it's great, but it's thwarted by the reality that laws are different state to state. Even business and tax laws are different state to state. And that's the thing we found even creating resources at Massage Business Blueprint. So it's an interesting minefield out there. But yeah.
It's difficult, right? It's difficult also to get people to be aware of the things that they should know. I mean, sometimes I am flabbergasted when I'm talking to other massage therapists. I had somebody else I tried to talk to all these people who also have bigger centers, or who employ others, or who rent out rooms to others, or whatever it is. I always try to sit down with people, have coffee, exchange a few ideas. I was talking to somebody, and she was asking me, well, how do you manage to get the clients to book with your contractors instead of with you? And I said, well, I mean, if it's somebody who really thinks that it has to be me for some reasons, because of my specialty or because of some personal relationship, well, then they want to book with me, of course, but it's so much more expensive. And she said, oh, really? You charge more than the others? And I said, well, what do you do? I mean, you've been in business for 20 years, right? She's like, yeah, but we all just charge the same $80 per hour. And it starts with things like that, where I feel like it doesn't even make sense if you look at just basic supply and demand. There's only this one person who her clients want to see her because they know, but there's nobody else who works like she does. And of course they would be willing to pay a lot more.
So tell me about, so your place is in Orlando, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell me about your setup and your pricing structure, because now I'm really curious before we get into the nitty-gritty of pricing.
Okay. I have a lot more education than most massage therapists, because in Germany I'm licensed as a naturopathic physician, which is kind of similar to the licenses in the US for chiropractors or for acupuncture physicians. And I then got the whole Rolfing structural integration training and certification, which is like another 600 to 800 hours, and requirements for ongoing continuing education with the Rolf Institute. And last year, I tacked on another whole bunch of education with the Rolf Institute to be an advanced Rolfer, and there's only 1,000 of us on the planet. So this is a long explanation for why I can charge a lot more. I charge by now $210 for an hour. I started when I opened that business at the level of, I think, just 110 or something like that. And that was 2008. That was right when the economy crashed. And I got in other contractors. And I think at that point, the massage hour was at $90. And we gave people an introductory discounts, things like that, in order to get them in the door.
So how are the other practitioners in your office doing? So since 2008, you've almost doubled your fee, and you're doing okay, obviously.
Right.
How are the other therapists in your, and what kinds of therapists do you have in your office?
Well, we all do. Our receptionists, we also have 3 people office staff, and we're open 7 days a week. So from a business perspective, it was a little crazy and very risky. And it's only in really the last 6 months or so that we actually make new profits. So it's been very hard. So I had to charge a lot because what I brought in was paying for a lot of the overhead because the others weren't able to bring enough in. And it was very long that it was always me who was booked several weeks in advance. And I always had to try hard to get people to book with the others. Because when you just hear massage and there's not this highly sought after modality and there's not a lot of hype and rave around something where you say, okay, this is the service that I buy, it's difficult to explain what makes it different. And of course, that was also the time where another chain massage establishment opened down the street like every few months. I mean, everything happened at the same time. The economy crashed. A lot of other businesses had to downsize. A lot of people were putting on desperate discounts. And online discounting places started coming up where people were running promotions. So it was one thing after another, and it made it really difficult. And then actually in Florida, another thing happened, which was that the auto insurance wasn't paying for massage therapy anymore. So businesses that were specializing on billing auto insurance let their massage therapists go. So it was like this huge oversupply of massage therapy, and the prices were really going down like crazy. So since I didn't want to do that, I felt like I can't compete with that. I can't compete on price. And the therapists who I was bringing in as contractors, they wouldn't want to. They have all been working for several years, often in like the neuromuscular area, myofascial area, everything that is not a spa treatment, everything that is really targeted in order to give pain relief, work with range of motion, work with athletes, things like that.
So what did you do how did you sell that massage in that kind of economy? What are the things that you did to bring in people, and how did you, so I'm actually in the middle of this now, so I've flipped this into an interview with you because I want to steal all your ideas. I'm in an expanding wellness center. We're bringing in a few different types of practitioners. There's already like 8 of us doing a variety of things, some acupuncturists, a nutritionist, and we're going to be bringing in a few more. And we need to start a massive consumer education campaign so people can see what yoga can do for them, what acupuncture can and can't do for them. Ditto that for nutrition. So how did you educate your consumers so they'd be cozy coming to you and paying $100+ an hour, or coming to your massage practitioners who are charging $90 an hour when you've got people all over charging $50? So how did you educate your consumers?
Well, fortunately, they say location, location, location. And we are in a good residential area that has like this romantic little old main street where a lot of independently owned businesses are. The residents in that area like supporting small business, and some of them really can afford the prices. Of course, this was a time where people were not spending money if they didn't really need to. So in a way, I think the economy crashing was good for us because it forced us to be better than everybody else at what we do, and to really specialize on that niche where we were providing reliable pain relief and results with one session. And in regards to range of motion, I find that really easy. With myofascial mobilization techniques can often just create fast results. So I started coaching the other therapists with a bunch of the things that I had learned and tried out. And I think being a Rolfer helped for the people who knew about it. I talked to other Rolfers who have a big challenge in marketing themselves, in getting people in the door, because hardly anybody knows about it. And that's true too. But I think I managed to word it on the website in a way that didn't turn people off. A lot of Rolfers or other structural integrators don't like talking about massage. And then nobody finds them at all. Because if somebody knows that they had a good experience getting a really good massage from somebody who had a little bit more education or who was using techniques that were really helpful, and then they try to find something similar, they're not going to look for Rolfing because they've never heard that before. They just know there was some manipulation that helped me. So they might look for assisted stretching. They might look for really deep massage. So I tried to use keywords like that on the website so that when people were doing online searches, they found us. And the first thing I did before I even worked more intensely on the website and before I started to teach myself on basics of SEO and things like that, I just walked up and down the whole street. And I talked to all these small business owners, which to me, I'm really introverted. And I have done a lot of networking in the last few years. And crazy fun fact about me is that I'm president of a chamber of commerce right now, which is crazy and rewarding and exciting and yet mostly crazy, but I'm learning a lot. But walking into a place and just saying like, hey, just open a business down the street, I was terrified. It was horrible. But I felt like, this is one of the things I have to do. And I know that discounting your services and giving things away for free is often controversial, but I felt like it's a lot easier for me to walk in and to have something I can give people, because then I'm not just soliciting for them, then I'm bringing them something. So I would say, I have a few coupons for free massages. Are you interested? Like that. And then, people would either really say like, no, go away, which is okay, or they would be curious. And then I would say, well, I just opened a business down the street. I want to give everybody a chance to meet me. I want to create relationships with the other business owners here. And I still have clients who started coming in because of that. So that was a huge step out of my comfort zone. And we're actually still using this kind of thing as a marketing strategy. By now we have formal half-off coupons that are nicely done, nicely printed, local print shop. Of course, that costs a lot more than all the online printers, but that's another one of these local relationships where we are known to be loyal and people give back the same way. And I still use those coupons to get people in the first time.
And I think the really important part here, oh my gosh, you touched on so many really cool things. One, pushing yourself to get out of your comfort zone, because I feel that. And I worked in a chiropractor's office the first 4 years of my practice. I just rented space from him. And the whole building next door was all doctor's offices. And I could never bring myself to go in and like introduce myself even to the office staff. Like in the 4 years I was there, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I was kicked myself for it. That said, being an introvert led me to get really good at online marketing, really good at email stuff. So my practice grew anyway, but it's interesting because there's so many gray areas, right? Like you have people who, when you even mention any kind of discounting, will just go off the wall and say you should never discount your services and blah, blah, blah. It's all a gray area, and it's all about context. You didn't throw out free massage coupons to the world. You very thoughtfully and strategically went down your main street and offered them to really great potential referral partners. And I'm guessing you still do that. Like and even Groupon, there are ways to run a really great strategic Groupon campaign when you think ahead about what your goals are for that.
Yeah.
And, but and like in the same vein, there's a big difference between blanket discounting and strategically offering discounts. And there's a big difference between casting a wide and thoughtless net and planting a lot of seeds. And you planted, and I did the same thing when I started my practice. I planted a lot of seeds. A lot of them were practice and didn't bloom into anything, but I learned a lesson. But you met people, you had a strategic offer, you joined some networking groups to get you out of your shell and ended up a leader in one, which is awesome. But we plant all of these seeds, and it's totally a long-term project, like growing. How long have you been at that site in Orlando?
Oh, since September 2008.
So 2000. And I did this.
It's a crazy business story. So, people freak out when I tell them it really took until now to really be profitable and to not feel like I have to use a lot of my work to supplement what the others have not been bringing in. And I know that other business owners would never do that, or, they start out trying to do it like that because they want to be fair to their therapists and they want to be really nice and they feel like, everybody should deserve to make a lot more. And I made a lot of mistakes, but the main reason why I had to grow this business so big was that I started on an E2 visa as a foreign investor. And you have to hire Americans. You have to show that you're giving employment to Americans. And so that's why I have office staff. That's why I have 3 people there holding the office open. And it was an obligation to grow this business much faster, much bigger than was actually fiscally responsible. And only because I was able to charge more and more for my own services, and because I got a few house call clients who really pay a premium for me to come to their place, it worked out that I could supplement and make it work. But I know that there were, I think like 2 years ago, I thought that was all just a huge mistake, because my sister and I both, we sold the house we grew up in. My sister bought another house. Now she's building yet another house. I put it all into more education, some travel, and then I pushed it all into this business. So, there was nothing left over. There was literally nothing left over of everything I had. So it was crazy. It was really scary.
And that's a lot. That's another huge lesson too. And I think for people at varying levels, like how our personal lives drive our business. So like I was very much in the same situation as you. I left the chiropractor's office and rented my own office space in 2009 when the economic collapse was happening around me here. And my business in the next 2 to 3 years doubled. I went from averaging probably 13 clients a week to getting up to 20 very easily, which more than sustained my costs. But at the same time,
I'm exhausted just hearing that.
Yeah. And it was this crazy, it was a lot of, I'd like to say that I made like lots of real conscious decisions and thought through everything. And now, like, I left my husband, I gypsied and lived with friends for 2 years, like a college student. And again, there's a remarkable amount of privilege here being, not having children, like people who grow a business when they have
I keep thinking that, how do people do that? They build a business and they have kids.
Dude, I brought my friends' kids to school this morning and could barely pull my crap together enough to get on this call with you. I had to change the time. So hats off to people with kids. And I, everything I say, I want acknowledged and colored with the recognition of my own privilege of freedom and independence here. But nonetheless, I left that marriage and had nothing, not even, and I was 3 years into my massage practice. I was still working part-time at a pharmacy to make ends meet, left with nothing and knowing I wasn't going to be getting anything, and a car that was paid off and 5 totes full of stuff, and lived with friends for a couple of years. And it was at that point where I was getting cranky at the chiropractor's office and probably annoying the crap out of him. He was very generous and lovely, and needed to get into my own space for my own sanity, but knowing that I still wasn't even living in a permanent residence, but this office opened up. And I remember I had this like, okay, we're going to make this like, hi Florida, I'm going to give you my emotional story. I don't know that I told anybody this. Like, I don't know I've been through this publicly, but it's scary stuff. Like it was over the course of 3 days where the place where I had been staying, the friends I had been staying with were like, it's been great having you, Allissa, but we're getting a little tired of you. Maybe it's time for you to look for a different place to live. Like in a kind way. And I'd been there for probably 9 or 10 months and was annoying the crap out of them. And they were like, don't leave and go into a bad situation, but it's time to start looking for a place you're ready. We're pushing you out of the nest now. Okay. And that happened like one morning. That afternoon, a client said to me, do you know anyone who does any house sitting? We're looking for someone to stay in our house for a year while we travel.
Oh my God.
That afternoon. And I went home that night and went, you guys, I found a place to live already. And I was like, and they said to me, and I was like, my client said, and it was the kind of client where you would feel comfortable taking on a house sitting job for them. And I was like, and she says, do you know anyone who does house sitting? And I'm like, I could probably help you out with that. Like trying not to scream from excitement in my head. And she goes, well, how much would you charge? I was like, you know what? I'd be happy with it just breaking even. I'd love to be able to help you out and stay at your house for a year. And it was closer. And I'd been commuting like 45 minutes living at my friend's. And the new place was 5 miles up the road from my office. And and then like 2 days later, I'd put in a call a couple weeks prior to a real estate agent I knew saying, I think I might want to start looking at commercial space. The next day, the real estate agent called me and said, I've got a space right near your current office that I think you would like. And it's owned by another real estate agent who I think you would really like. I would feel comfortable with you renting her building. I met her. I signed the lease 2 days later. And so over the course of a week, I went from being like, crap, where am I going to live? My divorce isn't even final. I'm only seeing like 12, 13 clients a week. I'm still working at the pharmacy. Oh my God, I'm going to be homeless and living in my office. And, all of these things happen over a couple of days. I remember getting like palpitations and being like, I can't drink coffee this week. Oh my gosh. And so there's a certain amount of like leaping and hoping that that's going to appear. And also like that said, I tell this story for I promise, a real good reason. Opportunity plus hard work equals luck. These opportunities happened for me. Being able to stay at a friend's house for almost a year happened because I worked really hard at nourishing friendships for a long time in my life. And I maintained a friendship that was important to me so that when I needed to leave a marriage, I had a roommate I had a friend who said, I've already had a key made for you. I worked really hard at that chiropractor's office and I made really good relationships with clients and referral partners. So much so that a client, knowing I am a resource in the community, asked me if I knew anyone who did house sitting. And I had presented myself over a period of time to her and her husband and her family, who became clients, who had been clients for a while, in such a way that when I said I could house sit, they trusted me. I had built a relationship with a realtor who was keeping his eyes open for me. And when an opportunity came up that he knew would fit well for me, he called me. So, it's easy to brush off these stories as like, I got so lucky that in 3 days I found a place to live and a great new office and clients that came with me. And there's a certain amount of just happenstance in these things. And it was a client who taught me a lot of business stuff who reminded me of this over that time and many times since then. Opportunity plus hard work equals luck.
Yes.
So it's a lot of like thinking, leaping, and the net will appear. And then a lot of realizing that you've built that net, you've planted those seeds over a long period of time. And that's what business is. Like, that's what good small business ownership is. And
that's so important.
Yeah. And
that is the thing. I mean, that's what I see with other small business owners who, when they're starting out, often have the sense like, somebody else is landing this big deal or they get this lucky break and it looks like it just fell into their lap, because we usually don't see the years and years that went into creating those relationships and the years of failing and failing and failing again. I mean, right now that's kind of popular to talk about how important it is to fail. And I mean, it really is, you try something out, it doesn't work. You try something else out. It's really just important to keep going and to stick with it and to create those relationships. And of course, 100 of these people don't give you this lucky opportunity, this amazing thing, and you're still having good relationships with them, and they know to ask you when they're looking for whatever, a plumber or a dentist or a hairdresser. They're going to ask you because you're the person who knows everybody. And that's so it is good to keep doing it for the joy of doing it, because it just feels good to help people out find something that they're looking for. But of course, then you also reap the benefits once in a while.
And I think this and this is so interesting to me because this conversation is so like circular in a good way, because we talk about laying the groundwork and becoming a really good resource and a very trusted resource. And that comes right back to, how do I get clients to schedule with someone other than me?
Right.
So, I'm at the point again, it's, for a long time I was at a very full practice and I wasn't even taking any new patients because I wanted to do more teaching and I was traveling a lot. And I couldn't take on new patients. The idea of a new patient walking in my door made me want to cry. So there was a period of time where I was only taking referrals. Like, you had to know somebody to get into me, or you had to be pregnant, because prenatal massage was the only exception I would make. And it was a lot of people were like, don't say you're not taking new patients. People move, people die. I'm like, I know, but I need like 3 less patients a week. I'm stressed out. And it was a good plan for me for a while, but it was really hard. When someone calls and says, hey, my sister so-and-so has been seeing you for years. Can I schedule a massage? But I had laid the groundwork with my clients. And even now, like stuff dropped off. I stopped teaching and traveling. I've been in a stage for the past year where I've been trying to bulk up my own clientele again, because people fall off your schedule. They move, they die. They just decide to stop getting massage. I hadn't been really assertive with my retention techniques. So I lost, irregular clients who would come if I nudged them. I'd stop nudging them. So I'm getting to the point again now, after about a year of working on my retention and recruitment, where my schedule is pretty full again. And I'm booked a couple weeks out. So I'm getting that situation again where people call me, even clients maybe I just hadn't seen in a couple of years, call me and say, I hurt my back. Can you see me this week? And I have to say, you know what? I don't have any appointments for 3 weeks, but I'd love for you to get seen sooner. And I have 2 other therapists in my office who have appointments this week. Andrew is really good at this and this, and I think he would probably be able to treat you well. Would you like to make an appointment with him and get in right away? If you feel like you need to come to me in a couple of weeks, we can make that appointment too. But you've laid the groundwork to be that trusted resource. So when you make a recommendation like that, well, you could wait 3 weeks to see me, and by the way, my rates have gone up. Or I can get you in with Andrew, this week. And it all circles back. And it's a tough thing because massage is very personal, but
you just gave the perfect script for anybody who is really trying to get their clients to book with their contractors.
And I think
because that is what you have to do. And what they often do is, okay, I'm going to fit you in this evening. And I'm going to, and they're hurting. They're starting to get arthritis in their fingers. They have their own back injuries from doing too much for too long and always saying yes. And I find it so rewarding to have other people around to do good work. Right now, I'm sitting at my sister's apartment close to Düsseldorf in Germany. This is actually the 4th week that I've been in Europe. I've been on the longest trip ever that wasn't enforced. There was one for immigration reasons because I had to wait for the consulate to give me my new visa. And that was when I had to stay for a long time outside the country. But right now, this is really just because I can. And I couldn't do this if I was the only one working in my place. The things that clients say. The last time I was on a class to just part of the advanced rolfing certification was 3 weeks that I spent in LA. And I came back and clients said to me, don't you ever do that again. And it's stuff like that they think is a joke. But if I wouldn't have other people there, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would feel so bad.
And it's funny because it may have taken you 8 or 9 years to get your business into a position where you weren't having to hustle to cover the overhead with your own fees. But now you're in a position where you can be away for a month. And
exactly.
And it's, I'm in the startup phase of this wellness center. I expanded. I had 2 treatment rooms in this office for years. And then last year, I guess a year and a half ago, we started this, ended up to be a big, much bigger than I expected expansion, but room was available in the building and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm still I'm no longer hemorrhaging money, but I'm almost at the covering costs situation, but it's been a year of realizing, and it was probably 6 months ago. I was like, oh, why am I not bringing home more money? Like I'm doing more massage. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, like my full-time massage practice is sustaining me. I'm paying my bills. I'm not getting ahead the way I want to, but I'm paying my personal bills. I'm paying the bills of the wellness center, which is in a startup phase. And I was like, well, I'm actually doing really well. I got my massage practice at the point where it can sustain me, itself, and fund the startup of a wellness center without taking on any more debt, which is a huge deal. But in a year or so, I'll have all those startup costs handled. And I did take on debt just to lay a floor down, but I'll have that all paid off in a year, and I'll be in a position where I can leave and not massage for a month and have enough money coming in that's covering the costs and paying me a little bit. So it takes a long time to be an overnight success, and you have to lay a lot of groundwork. And until then, I'm doing working vacations. So I'm going to Martha's Vineyard for a week and a half, and I'll do a couple massages a day at crazy tourist rates at my friend's business, and then read on the beach the rest of the time. I don't know. I'm not really a beach person. I like to pretend I am. I don't know. But so I have a question for you. So what are the factors in play for people who are like, listen, I've been doing this for 10 years. My skills are good. I'd like to raise my rates so I'm not charging $75 an hour like everyone around here. I don't want to be the discount massage. What are the factors you need to consider? I was thinking that, and I think I have tried to pinpoint our weaknesses, and by our, I mean my personal weaknesses, and I know a lot of massage therapists feel this way. Massage is really subjective, and you touched on this earlier with range of motion and pretty fast pain relief. What are the things we need to do to warrant a higher rate than therapists in your area? So I'd say more time and skills, measurable outcomes, and consistent service. Those were the big things I thought of. But what do you think of, or can you expand on what kind of measurable outcomes we need to really think about, and maybe even bring in a few thoughts about actual evidence-informed practice? Little topic there.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. But if it's just about how to justify a higher rate, I really, that person who has been charging $75 for 10 years, what I want them to understand is that for those 10 years, even through economically challenging times, there is always inflation, and people don't understand about that. All the cost goes up a little bit. You can look up the yearly inflation rates. It's usually, in the times that we've been in, it was so slow that it was just 8%, I think, over a 5-year span or something. But that means that everything gets 8% more expensive. Your cost gets 8% more expensive of running your business. When you buy clothes, when you buy groceries, everything is 8% more expensive after those 5 years. So the person who doesn't raise her rates for 10 years, that means she's actually paying herself less than she did 10 years ago. And in those 10 years, she has taken CE classes, she has gotten better, she's gotten a lot of practice, she's gotten better at how she talks to her clients. So she's been really providing a higher value and paying herself less. So that is insane. Yep. So that's already where this whole thing starts, is to just be aware of this insanity. The next thing is and I'm from Germany. Germans don't really, they don't really do this whole Western capitalism as much as other nations. They have a very clear idea of what is the going rate for this. And I mean, if I tell my friends, my old friends, what I'm charging, they think I'm crazy. And they sometimes kind of lose respect a little bit. Americans are different. Americans are like, whoa, more power to you. This is amazing. Because here in the US, they understand supply and demand. If there's only one person who does what you do, and if you've been doing massage for 10 years, there is only one person who does it the way you do. You just have to be aware of that. You can charge whatever you want, actually. And that's a thing that sounded crazy to me when I first heard it. And it was actually one of the acupuncture teachers at the college that I went to when it was about pricing. And he said, well, you just figure out your budget, figure out how much money you have to make in order to make ends meet, save for retirement, have a little extra spending money. Then you think about how many patients do you want to see per week. I mean, maybe you really like seeing lots of people, and then 20, 25 is a good idea. Maybe you get really exhausted from these interactions and you only want to see 5. So you just figure out what you need to make in a week, and you divide it by the amount of people you want to see in a week, and there's your price per hour. And I thought, this is totally crazy. This makes no sense whatsoever. But this is where I am right now, where I really just imagine, okay, what do I feel like I have to make in order to make this really worth my time? And in order to be able to save up, and in order to do all the things that I want to be doing, and how many hours can I really spend with clients and really put in my all into that time? And then you figure out what your rate can be. And it's not, if you build it, they will come. It's not a magic trick. But if you're able to figure out, how can I make this session worth $200, it's also more than just massage skills. And a lot of that more is, how do you create the environment? How do you create the framework? How do you show up? And it's not only consistency of good service. And that consistency is something that people have to learn about too, because the clients want to feel like not only it's good service, but also they can just fall into this safe space. So whether somebody does a relaxation massage and a sugar scrub, or they want to reliably improve range of motion and reduce pain levels, it doesn't really matter. The client has to come in and feel, I'm in a safe space. I'm good here. This is great. And so consistency and making sure that they have the same experience reliably, that is super important. If they come in and people are running around and are scattered, and it's like, oh, actually the room that we wanted to get in is not available right now, so we're going to get over there. And oh yeah, by the way, yeah, of course I was running late because there was this emergency happening. People who come into that, they already feel frazzled. So then you have to spend the first 15 minutes of your session to just bring their nervous system down. if they're paying as much as they're paying for me, they pay $50 for your chaos. That's not right, you know? So it's a bunch of things like that that have to be thought about. And it's the longer I work and the more I teach and the more I talk to clients who do pay lots of money, the more I see that the skill level at a certain level is pretty much taken for granted. That is what should be expected. But it is all of this around. And, you know, the things that you talked about, that they see you as this trusted person, that they see you as somebody who doesn't have any drama. It's sad, but I hear from clients often that they stop going to a massage therapist because that massage therapist keeps talking about all the drama in the therapist's life, you know?
Yep. And that's like the number one complaint I hear from people. And my friend Ariana taught me this trick, not a trick, but she said when she does an intake with a new patient, and, you know, she always asks if they've gotten massage before. And if they've gotten regular massage, she says, why did you leave your last massage therapist? And, you know, a lot of times it's like my massage therapist moved away, but you'll hear a lot of things like, she just talked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was really hard to make an appointment.
Yeah.
Or just sometimes it's just like, it felt really good, but my shoulder wasn't really improving. So I figured I needed to try somebody else. But they talk too much. And I catch myself doing this because especially if you're like a career therapist long-term, you know, you get to know your clients and they ask you how you are. And sometimes you just forget to make that a real short answer that you don't expand upon. And I caught myself doing it last night with a lovely client who's been coming to me probably for more than 10 years. And I do home visits with her now. And I saw her last night. She's like, how's it going? Did you do anything for Easter? And I was like, oh yeah, we did this and I cooked this and and then I was like, oh, shut up, Allissa. Like, no, you didn't need to answer that long. And sometimes oftentimes like a client will continue to ask. Some people need to chat while they get massage. And if you're comfortable, that's fine. But I forgot, I expanded on something, or I might have even started talking about something else without having been prompted. I spoke without being spoken to. And I've been doing this for a really long time, and I know that rule, and I still broke it by accident. And I'm sure that's cost me some clients over the years. So forgive yourself, but remind yourself.
Yeah, of course.
It happens. But like the big things I hear from people are my therapist wouldn't stop talking. They were hard to get a hold of, or they just kept canceling appointments.
Right. That is a good one. Canceling, rescheduling.
Yeah, which it happens on occasion, but it shouldn't happen that much.
Well, the way I see it is at some point you are going to be sick. At some point you're going to run 100-degree fever. At some point you might have a car accident. So don't waste these chances with things that aren't that important. Don't look at your schedule and think, oh, I only have these 2 appointments. If I just reschedule these, then I can make a trip to the beach, whether I'm a beach person or not, you know. And I see therapists doing that. And when I ask them about it, they say, oh, but I asked the client whether it was okay. And that makes me, you know, I mean, what are you going to say if somebody calls you and says, is that okay with you if we reschedule that? I mean, the therapist thinks, okay, she obviously doesn't want to do it. So of course they say it's okay. You do that 3 times. And then they're one of those people who call you and say, yeah, you know, it was really difficult with the scheduling.
And I think that's a big, knowing that you have to maintain a certain level of service in order to demand higher prices. I think that's probably a big obstacle for people. I know for me, I'm among, well, for a while I was among the higher rates in my area. And I don't know that you need to figure rates by looking at other rates in your area, but it is a thing. I think there are many factors to consider when you're figuring out your rates, and look, you should be aware of what's in your area, even if that's not what influences your decision.
Oh yeah.
But, I'm contemplating a price increase for the end of the summer. And, you know, one of the things I'm really, really good at is relaxation massage, like coupled with some more intricate work for pain relief. And I've been thinking like, man, I would love to just bring my rates right up to like $120 an hour.
Yeah.
And I thought about all the factors. I'm like, I don't take gratuities. So my rate is my rate. So factoring that in, I'm still comparable with other therapy. Like it's not, it's high, but it's not crazy ridiculous. And how many of my current clients would get priced out by that? And how much of that am I imagining? And does it matter? Because if I lost, let's say 8 clients, I lost 2 clients a week, I would be making more money. I would still be making more money than I am now. But one of the factors I thought of, which is kind of keeping me back a little bit, is in a perfect world, I would deliver a massage in an environment where there's no noise. And I share an office with 3 other treatment rooms and a yoga studio on the other side of my wall. And it's a silly debacle I have right now where everyone in my office, including me, has forgotten how to close a door. And so 3 or 4 times a day, or, during a massage several times a day, I hear my office mate do like a bump and a click when they close their treatment room door. And I have done this to my office mates. I am not, it's like we all had some kind of brain thing happen in the past 6 months and we've all forgotten how to close doors. And I'm like, in my head, every time I hear the door bump and click, I'm like, I can't charge $125 for an extreme relaxation experience and have bumping and clicking happen. So for me, that's I'm having an obstacle, but I think many of us have variable obstacles. I feel like I can't charge a premium price because sometimes my work schedule has to change if my kid is sick. I feel I can't charge a premium price because I never know when the kickboxing place across the street is going to crank up their music really loud and I'm going to hear it. Or how will I feel if something happens and I can't work for that day because my office floods or whatever. So I think some of these are totally imagined in our head that they would be problems. And some of them are very real, but it's a thing we have to think through. So what is making me be a sissy about raising my prices? What's valid and what's not?
I have a lot to say about that.
I bet.
Because it is not of the kind of, oh, well, you just have to charge what you're worth and you have to get over it. I mean, what you're worth, that is so random anyway. How can you determine that?
Yeah.
But all these things that you bring up, they're so valid. And another one that you didn't bring up that is the biggest, I think, for a lot of us, is this whole idea of, if I charge so much, there are people who I really like, there are people who I want to work with, and I know that they can't afford that. And do I want to be the one who is really providing a service that is this elite out there thing that most people just can't ever get? And that's where I stand right now. And this is hard. This is not easy. And it was crazy for me. And the only way to justify it, because I'm really not money motivated, was that I had to make this business survive. Because by now there's 8 other people who depend on it in their families. And we would have gone down if I hadn't raised my rates so crazily high.
And I think about it as if when you're making more money, you can do more good. So the last time, So it might not have been it probably was the last time I raised my rates. It might have been 2 times ago. I've only raised my rates 3 times in 12 years, but they were considerable jumps. They were $10 each time. So at one point when I was struggling with a rate change, I wanted to make more money, but I also wanted to be able to take 1 morning a week away from my office and go do and volunteer some massage at a school for kids with autism. But I couldn't make it all work. And I realized, I was like, if I increase my rates, I can do more good. So yes, there might be 1 or 2 people who I can no longer serve because they can't afford my massage, but I have a referral list of people with varying prices, and I can send them to someone I trust who will care for them very well.
Exactly.
And in that 4 hours a week that I can go work at this school for kids with autism, I'm going to help a whole bunch more people. And I got to train OTs on how to apply massage. That helped a whole bunch more people.
Yes.
And you have very high rates, but you're able to volunteer in your chamber and do a lot of good for a lot of local businesses. So And there's lots of things you can do. You can implement a donation program to fund massage. There's a handful of people who have done things like that. They've created a thing where their current clients or anyone in the community can donate. And then if someone needs a massage but can't afford it, they can draw from that fund.
You can do things like, I did a scholarship for a dancer. I said, okay, you're going to get 10 sessions just because I want to support your work. And you can do that if you charge enough. And all these obstacles that you brought up, if you charge $120 and there is one day where there is a lot of chatter in the background, there's a lot of door banging, then you tell your client, okay, I know that this was crazy and here's a gift certificate for next time and you're going to get a free one. And your client is going to be blown away and super happy and is going to continue raving about you even more because you're so generous and so sweet. And you can make things like that, like, surprise gifts that
when you're making more
otherwise.
Money. Exactly. When you're making more money, you can be generous so that when that client who's been coming to see you once a month for severe anxiety gets laid off, you can say, yeah, you know what? I want you to come every 6 weeks and you're going to pay half price. And you can do that because you have enough money. So there is and it's not, whatever,
like,
we could talk
don't
about
tell
that
anybody else, please.
Yes.
I have had clients where, and from my experience, what I can really recommend is make the crazy jump, make the insane jump. The insane jump that I did last year was from charging $135 for a 1 hour session to $210, which is completely insane. So, of course, the way I did it was that the people who, I don't have a lot of regular clients. I mean, in a way, what we do is not really typical, and the other contractors do it similarly. We take people on, we work with them like on a project to deal with an issue, and then we try to figure out a maintenance program. Our goal usually is not to have the same person come in every other week.
Yeah.
We like to see them less and less and less, and if they insist on coming in once a month, okay, that's good. But usually once a month is good enough too. So that's just, but those people who have been seeing me once a month and we have kind of like a membership system where they get a 15% discount. Well, I gave them another year on that thing because they've been regular clients. The business relies on them in a way I have been relying on them. I appreciate them. We have a good relationship. They appreciate that. But I said from the start, I didn't say I keep you at the old prices. I said, in your case, don't tell your friends, but in your case, you can keep the other prices, the old prices for another year. So they feel like, wow, this is amazing. And I don't have to go home with this feeling of, oh, this is so horrible. What am I going to do?
And there's merit to that. You can also just raise your rates for new patients. That's it. People, it gets a little more complicated, but it's okay to have something that's set. You just publish your new rates on your site. Your old clients know that they're not going to experience this extreme price hike. And and it's not, you want to maybe tell them that,
give them a time limit.
That's exactly it. You might want to do that, but you always have the option to extend that if you want to. But
that's exactly the thing. Once that year is over, I can say, okay, in your case, you get another year. But if you don't put a time limit, it's not a good idea. They have to always know that you're already going above and beyond, because I think so much in business is about expectation management and about pricing. People shy away from that. They don't want to put their rates on their website because they're scared that people are not going to book with them. And there's a lot of business advice where it's like, don't say what you're going to charge in the beginning of the conversation. Yeah, right?
I won't even call someone or book an appointment with them if their prices aren't on. Like, I hate that.
I know. I feel like this is sneaky, weird sales techniques. I don't want that. And I don't want to be that person. So
it makes me feel like I definitely won't be able to afford it. I don't have time for that.
Right. I've thought that. And I have people now, even though I have said things like that I shouldn't say. I have said things like, yeah, you should know I'm so ridiculously expensive. I have these and these and these therapists, and they're doing really amazing work, and, get a consultation with me, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, well, what is it that you charge that is so ridiculous? And I'm like, yeah, it's $210 per hour. That's not ridiculous at all. I mean, if I would, if this is what I want, I would have expected it to be more. And
yeah, we have a lot of preconceived notions, and that's a thing too. And I'll wrap my bit up with this, so we don't go too far over time. When you assume someone can't afford or won't be able to afford your services, you're making that decision for them. Like,
yes.
Instead of saying, this is what I do, this is what I charge, you're saying, no, I know they won't be able to afford that, so I'm just not even going to try. Like, yes. And that's kind of insulting to people. Like, totally. Let them make their own decision about what they can and can't afford.
But offer them alternatives. And I mean, I like that you're doing that. And I do the same thing. I mean, if people say you guys are really expensive, I say, well, this is the kind of business that exists here. And I have people who have taken my classes and they're in an area where the zoning laws allow them to work out of their house. They have a much lower overhead. They don't have staff. So they're able to charge a lot less. And I can give you their business card and I'm happy if you schedule with them. I'm happy for everybody to find exactly what they're looking for, including the price they can pay.
Yeah. And this is a lot of, it's such a gray area and there's so much context that I wish there was I always want bullet points. I wish there was bullet points. I could be like, so here's what you need to consider if you want to raise your prices. But I can tell you that the very first podcast episode we did for Massage Business Blueprint, like almost 2 years ago, was how to raise your prices. So if you decide to raise your prices and you're not sure how to do it, we totally have a resource. And it's very specific. We even give here's what you should write in your email and give templates for that and stuff because it's really loaded. But I don't have any follow-up bullet points on all of this because it's so loaded and you have to do what works for you. But I think good businesses happen when you push yourself out of your comfort zone with this stuff too.
Yeah. We covered a lot and not a lot of what we thought we were actually going to cover.
Good job, people, if you're still watching.
Means that we should definitely do this again.
We totally should.
Yeah, and I would hope for a lot of feedback. Send me an email. Let me know what you've been thinking, people out there.
Tell me how I'm wrong. If I'm totally wrong, I want you to tell me how and why.
Yeah, and I'll hold a business card up right here. So my email address is just lou@Mueller-Kaul.com. That's super easy. You can contact me there. And I can get you in touch with Allissa if you want to know more and look up massagebusinessblueprint.com.
Bingo.
Very good. Well, Allissa, until next time.
Thanks, Lou.
Recording right here. So good to talk to you.
Thank you.